I am here with Carol Kaffenberger, author of Making Data Work. And one quick question, I have a few quick questions for you. One is, why should school counselors look at collecting data in today's world?
Okay. Well, of course, you don't have to read very far about any kind of educational issue without knowing that every person in the school building needs to be using data. And it's essential for school counselors to be data-driven because we already are busy. We have to be effective. And so using data to drive decision-making, to close achievement gaps, and to share with other people what we do are the three primary reasons for school counselors to use data.
Okay. And could you give us maybe a couple examples of what kind of data we should be looking at, or what kind of data we can collect, and maybe even where you might be able to find some of those data pieces?
Okay. I actually spend a lot of time in working with school counselors on this very issue because I think we have to be very focused in how we collect data. And I think the starting point, if a school counselor is just beginning to collect data, would be to collect pre- and post-test data around the interventions that they're actually conducting. In other words, if you're doing a school counselor classroom set of lessons on study skills, you're going to want to compare what student knowledge before and after is to see whether they've learned what you've taught them. But then you're also going to want to look at some results data, which would be, as a result of this work, are their grades going up? Are they handing in homework more often? And what has been the impact on the student's performance? So that's a place to start. The other thing that I think that we sometimes don't do is that we throw interventions at problems and we guess at what the problem is. And so my recommendation is first to really collect some data to help understand the issue. I tell stories all the time about looking at why students are failing. We make a lot of assumptions that it's because of environment and home life and beliefs about school and lack of engagement, but we really sometimes, and then we throw interventions like mentoring programs and homework clubs and individual tutoring at students, but we don't really know what problem we're addressing. So I like to collect data to understand perception data. So what do students think about the reasons that they're not successful? What do students think about bullying in their school and whether the school is safe? And then based on that data, we can then sometimes point to an intervention that's going to be meaningful. It's really and overall, I want whatever data you're collecting to be aligned with the mission of the school, which is an educational mission. So the data needs to look at school improvement plan issues. It should be aligned with gap issues at the school, the kinds of issues that are keeping students from being successful, and we need to be collecting data about that.
Okay. And once you collect that data, I think you talked today about sharing that information with your administrator and having your administrator as an ally and using the data to improve your programming. What kind of things can you do to do that?
Well, I think first of all it's really important to, before you even collect data, to share your concerns and your data, your program goals with your administrator. And in some schools, administrators and counselors have regular meetings where they have a chance to talk about the kinds of concerns that the school is experiencing and what the school counselor can contribute to understanding how to address those issues. So we'd start by really pulling the administrator into the process and then sharing the data as you're gathering it with the administrator so that there's kind of a consensus around what do we do with this data, how do we use this data, what program implications does this data have. So it really isn't just isolated in the counselor's world, because often the implications are share this data with the faculty. This intervention works successfully, so we need to do it at all levels, or we need to do more of this intervention. And so that's really a dialogue that has to take place with the administrator. So I think that the goals need to be developed in concert with the administrator. The process needs to be shared with the administrator, and you want that administrator excited and looking forward to the results of the data that is collected, so that there can be shared decision-making around how to use that data.
Okay, well, thank you for coming to Pennsylvania and working with the school counselors here and sharing your information on data and working with your administrator. And it's always a treat to have you come, and we hope that you can come back again.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.